I caught my parents on my security camera plotting to move my brother into my apartment, so I set a trap and exposed their betrayal at dinner. Alright, Reddit, I need outside eyes on this. Grab your popcorn, enjoy the shit show, and tell me if I overreacted. I'm Oscar, 31, male. And I was halfway through debugging a clusterfuck of legacy code when I checked my apartment security feed and saw my parents letting themselves in. Normal Wednesday afternoon, right? I'd given them a spare key for emergencies, except my dad was holding a tape measure. I watched through my phone as he started measuring my walls, not just casually looking around, actively measuring. My mom was taking notes on her phone, doing that thing where she tilts her head and squints like she's imagining new furniture. Then my younger brother Cody walks in behind them like he owns the place. He was smirking. "This is perfect," Cody said, dropping onto my leather couch and putting his feet on my coffee table. "Way better than that dump I've been crashing at, and Oscar's never even here anyway. Always at the office." My mom nodded along, still taking notes. "We'll need to move the desk out of the second bedroom. That can be Cody's room. Oscar can work from the office like everyone else." "I'm sorry, what?" My dad measured the doorways, the hallway, the whole 9 yards. "Once Cody's stuff is moved in, Oscar won't make a scene. He'll understand family comes first. We just need to do it while he's in San Francisco for that conference next month." I sat there at my desk watching these people plot to steal my apartment in real time, and I started laughing. That dead cold laugh that makes your CO workers look at you like you've gone crazy. My business partner, Scott, glanced up from his monitor with this, "Should I be concerned?" expression. Maybe he should be, because I just watched my family plan a hostile takeover of my apartment. And instead of feeling shocked or hurt, I felt something else entirely, relief, because now I had them all on camera. And I was about to make them regret every single choice that led to this moment. See, I'm a software architect. I own 30% of a startup that just got Series B funding. I make good money, real good money. And 6 months ago, after my mom borrowed my grandfather's vintage Rolex from my apartment, the only thing I had from my dad's father, who actually gave a damn about me, I installed a full security system, cameras, motion sensors, the works. Found that Rolex 3 weeks later on Cody's wrist in an Instagram photo. He told his friends he bought it with his business earnings. Cody's business earnings consisted of whatever MLM scheme he was currently failing at, while mom and dad funded his lifestyle. I'd been documenting everything since then. Every conversation, every time they chose Cody over me, every dismissive comment about how I should help family, while Cody bled them dry. They just handed me enough evidence to bury them all. I texted my brother, "Hey man, wanna grab dinner this weekend? Been too long." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. They were probably conferring, wondering if I somehow knew. "Yeah dude, sounds good. Mom and dad free too? Sure, bring everyone. I'll cook at my place Saturday." I had 4 days to prepare, 4 days to set the trap. And Cody, that smug jerk, walked right into it thinking he'd already won. I grew up in Seattle as the older son of Philip and Janet Kowalski. Dad ran a successful import business. Mom managed rental properties they owned. We had money. We had a nice house in Bellevue. We had everything except I didn't have parents who saw me. I had investors who stopped investing the moment Cody was born. I was 8 when my brother arrived, and I went from firstborn to forgotten overnight. The responsible one. The one who didn't need help because he was so capable for his age. Funny how an 8-year-old becomes self-sufficient when nobody's watching anymore. Cody got basketball camp while I was told sports were a waste of time. He got a brand new Audi for his 16th birthday while I worked at Best Buy to buy my own used truck. I got into MIT and they suggested state school would be more practical. Cody barely graduated high school and they celebrated like he'd cured cancer. Bought him a condo near UW, even though he dropped out after 1 semester. I worked my rear off through MIT, through years of grinding at tech companies, through building my own startup. 3 years ago, I bought this apartment in downtown Seattle. Corner unit, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay, the whole flex. It was my proof that I didn't need their approval or their money. I'd given them the spare key, because some pathetic part of me still wanted them to be proud of me. That key was about to cost them everything. The day after watching them measure my furniture, Cody texted me, "Hey bro, need to ask you something important." I smiled at my phone. "Sure, why don't you all come over Saturday? I'll make that Korean barbecue you guys like." I spent the next 4 days preparing, but not food. I was organizing evidence, financial records showing every loan I'd given Cody that he never repaid, screenshots of the 7 different business ventures my parents had funded for him that all failed, bank statements proving I'd paid for family dinners, vacations, gifts, while Cody contributed nothing and took everything. But the real work had been happening for months. See, Cody's current girlfriend, Nicole, had reached out to me 12 weeks ago through LinkedIn. Professional message, very polite. She'd noticed we had the same last name and took a shot. Turns out Cody had been using her credit cards to fund his latest business venture, some crypto trading course, MLM nonsense. He'd maxed out 3 of her cards, about $40,000 total, while telling her he was investing their money in a guaranteed opportunity. The opportunity was him buying bottle service at clubs and trying to recruit people into his downline. Nicole had receipts, all of them. And she'd been working with me to document everything because Cody had also told her that I was a trust fund kid who'd never worked a real day in my life. Meanwhile, he'd been telling my parents that Nicole's family was wealthy and he was networking for business opportunities. All lies. Nicole was a nurse working double shifts while Cody drained her accounts. But the best part, Cody had recently started listing my apartment as his business address for his LLC, using my address for business registration without asking, probably to look more legitimate to whatever marks he was currently scamming. That meant every piece of mail, every legal document, every trace of his shady business dealings was now tied to my property. And that was going to be useful. Saturday arrived, perfect weather. I grilled kalbi and made banchan, set the table nice. My apartment looked clean, professional, successful, everything they'd tried to take. The folders sat in my home office waiting. The trap was set, and Cody was about to learn that the brother he'd dismissed his entire life was a lot smarter than he looked. They showed up at 6. Mom brought drinks. Dad immediately started eyeing the walls he'd measured 3 days ago. Cody walked in with this grin, already acting like he lived here, and behind him came Nicole. She caught my eye and gave the tiniest nod. She was in on it. "Oscar, man, this place looks great," Cody said, dropping onto my couch exactly like he had on camera. "You keeping it clean for once?" I smiled. "Special occasion." Mom headed straight to the kitchen. "You should really get better knives, sweetie. These are dull. I like them sharp enough to cut through nonsense. But, thanks for the feedback." She blinked, not sure if I just insulted her. We ate dinner. Cody dominated the conversation like always, talking about his latest business opportunity, how he was about to blow up, how he had investors lining up. Dad nodded along like he was the next Elon Musk. Mom kept refilling his glass. Nicole stayed quiet. "So, brother," I said, setting down my chopsticks, "how's the apartment hunting going?" He exchanged looks with our parents. Dad jumped in smooth as ever. "Maybe you could help your brother out. You've got that extra bedroom collecting dust." "The office," Mom added. "You could work from the company office like everyone else. Cody needs a stable address for his business. Family helps family, Oscar." I took a slow sip. "That's interesting because I could have sworn I saw you all in here earlier this week, measuring my walls, planning where to put Cody's stuff without asking me, without even telling me." The silence was beautiful. Cody's smirk faltered. Dad's jaw tightened. Mom opened her mouth. "I have security cameras," I continued. "Full coverage. Installed them after Mom borrowed Grandpa Kowalski's Rolex from my bedroom. Remember that, brother? The Rolex you told your friends you bought with your business earnings?" His face went red. "You said those were just for the front door." I lied. "And I've got video of you 3 planning to move Cody in while I'm at a conference. Dad, you want to hear your exact words?" I pulled out my phone and played the audio. Dad's voice filled my apartment clear as day. "Oscar won't make a scene. He'll understand. Family comes first. We just need to do it while he's in San Francisco next month." Nicole shifted in her seat, and I saw the anger flash across her face. She'd been lied to about so many things, and now she was watching it all come together. Dad started to bluster. "Now, Oscar, you're taking this out of context." "Context? You broke into my freaking home to plan a hostile takeover. That's the context." "We're your family," Mom said, her voice rising. "How can you be so selfish? Your brother needs help right now. He's building something important." I laughed. "Important? Cody, what business are you in again?" "This week? Cryptocurrency education," he said defensively. "It's going to be huge." "It's a pyramid scheme," Nicole said quietly. All eyes turned to her. "He maxed out 3 of my credit cards. $40,000 for what? Bottle service club photos for Instagram. Your business opportunity doesn't exist." Cody's face went from red to pale. "Nicole, what the heck?" "Don't," her voice was ice. "Oscar called me 2 months ago. We've been comparing notes." "What the heck is going on?" Dad asked, confused. Mom looked between them, confused. "Oscar, what is she talking about?" "I'm talking about your son being a fraud. Nicole, you want to show them the credit card statements?" She pulled out a folder. I'd taught her well. She spread the statements across my table. Charges at nightclubs, designer clothes, expensive dinners. Not a single legitimate business expense in the bunch. "Cody told me he was investing our money. Nicole said. He told me we'd be millionaires by the end of the year. Instead, I'm $40,000 in debt, and he's been living like a trust fund kid on my credit. That's not— I can explain, Cody stammered. Explain what? I cut him off. Explain how you've been using my apartment as your business address without asking? Yeah, I know about that too. You registered your LLC to my address without my consent. I pulled the public filings and contacted the businesses you were dealing with. Kowalski Capital Ventures LLC. That's your company, right? The one you're using to scam people into buying your crypto course. He stood up, knocking his chair back. You had no right. You had no right to use my address. And you know what else I found in those public records? You're under FTC investigation for deceptive business practices. You're being sued by 3 different people for fraud. And you've been hiding all of this by using my address so Mom and Dad wouldn't find out. Dad's face was stone. Now, what the actual fuck is this true, Cody? It's all garbage. Oscar's just jealous because— Because what? I stood up. Because I actually built something real while you've been running scams. Because I worked my rear off while you coasted on Mom and Dad's money. Because I bought this place with money I earned and you thought you could just take it. Mom was crying now. Oscar, please. He's your brother. He made mistakes, but family forgives. Forgives? Right. Wait a sec. I walked to my office and came back with more folders. Let me tell you what I'm forgiving. Cody has borrowed $73,000 from me over the past 6 years. Not $1 paid back. You two have borrowed another $45,000. Also not paid back. Meanwhile, Cody's living off Nicole's credit cards using my address for his scam business. And you 3 were planning to illegally move him into my apartment. I dropped the folders on the table. This is everything. Every loan, every lie, every time you chose him over me. Every time you told me to be more understanding while he took advantage of everyone around him. Cody was sweating. Now you can't prove any of this. I can prove all of it. Bank transfers, text messages, emails, recorded conversations, and the best part, Nicole's lawyer is filing a civil suit against you for fraud. The FTC is investigating your deceptive business practices, and you've been using my address as your business registration without my consent. That's going to look real good when the feds start asking questions about mail fraud. Dad finally found his voice, but it was shaky. Oscar, son, I think you're overreacting. This is still family. No, I said. Family doesn't break into each other's homes. Family doesn't spend 3 decades teaching one kid he's worthless while the other kid can do no wrong. I walked to the door and opened it. Get out. All of you, leave your key on the table. If you contact me again, if you come near this apartment, I'll file for restraining orders. And Cody, Nicole's lawyer, is CCing me on everything. I'm going to watch you burn. Cody grabbed his jacket, his face twisted with rage. You're going to regret this. You think you're so dang smart with your job and your fancy apartment. You've always been a smug jerk, and now everyone's going to know it. Better a smug jerk than a fraud living off other people's credit cards. He stormed out, Nicole following behind him, but she paused at the door and looked back at me. Thank you, she mouthed. I nodded. She'd get her money back. I'd make sure of it. My parents left slower. Mom still crying. Dad wearing that mask of controlled anger I remembered from childhood. You're going to regret this, Dad said quietly. When you're alone and need family, we won't be there. Good, I said. I've been alone my whole life. It won't really bother me. After they left, I locked the door, engaged the deadbolt, and walked to my window. The skyline stretched out in front of me, lights reflecting off Elliott Bay. My apartment, my sanctuary, still mine. Scott texted when I was locking up the office. How'd it go? Burned every bridge. Feels amazing. Drinks tomorrow? Absolutely. I just nuked my entire family in one dinner, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely free. Monday morning hit me with 17 texts from my mom, each one more desperate and guilt-trippy than the last. I blocked her number after reading the first one. Blocked Dad, blocked Cody. The silence was peaceful. Nicole called that afternoon. Her lawyer had filed charges. Cody had been served and was blowing up her phone. I told her not to answer, that the documentation spoke for itself. She thanked me again for believing her, for helping her build the case. Most people wouldn't have had the guts to reach out to their scammer family, but she'd been smart enough to know I might actually listen. The week that followed was chaos, but the good kind. Turned out Cody had been running his business out of 3 different addresses, mine, Nicole's, and some P.O. box in Tacoma. The FTC had been building a civil case for months, based on deceptive trade practices. But once my documentation and Nicole's evidence landed, the DOJ opened a criminal investigation for wire fraud and mail fraud. Federal agents executed a search warrant at his apartment on Wednesday. The evidence they found, fake testimonials, stolen course materials, records of who he'd scammed, sealed it. Scott sent me the news article with the headline, "Local man charged with wire fraud and crypto education scheme." Cody's mugshot looked exactly how you'd expect. Stunned, shocked that consequences existed. "Your brother?" Scott asked when I got to the office. "Not anymore." The best part was watching Cody's Instagram go from flexing lifestyle to complete radio silence. His followers started commenting, asking questions. Then someone linked the fraud charges. Then Nicole posted a statement about financial abuse. Then everything unraveled beautifully. Cody had been scamming people with a $2,000 cryptocurrency masterclass that was basically YouTube videos he'd stolen and repackaged. He had about 40 students who'd paid him, none of whom learned anything except how to lose money. They all started coming forward. The lawsuits piled up. My parents tried a different approach after that. They sent my uncle, Dad's brother, to talk to me. Uncle Henry was a good guy. Never played favorites. Always treated me square. We met for coffee on Friday. He told me straight up that Dad had asked him to intervene, but he'd told Dad he was an idiot. He'd watched them screw me over for years, had warned them they'd lose me. They hadn't listened. Cody had been a spoiled brat since birth, and everyone knew it except my parents. He pulled out his phone and told me Nicole had actually called him, asked if he'd be a witness in her case against Cody. He'd said yes without hesitation. That kid needed to learn consequences, and my parents needed to learn they couldn't enable their way out of this one. He slid a business card across the table, his lawyer's info, already briefed on my situation, ready to help with restraining orders or property protection if needed. I took the card and thanked him. "Don't thank me," he said. "Just don't let them weasel their way back into your life. You're better off without them." He was right. Cody's arraignment was the following Monday. Nicole went and sent me updates throughout. Cody showed up in a cheap suit with a bus bench lawyer, parents looking devastated in the gallery. The judge set bail at $50,000. Dad had to use the house as collateral. The whole time, Cody glared at Nicole like she'd orchestrated his downfall, instead of just documenting it. Zero accountability, exactly as expected. That evening, Scott and I grabbed drinks at a bar in Capitol Hill. He'd been my business partner for 4 years, knew all the family drama, never judged. He asked what was next for me now that my family was imploding and Cody was facing federal charges. I told him the truth. Nothing changes. I just keep living my life. They were never really part of it anyway. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Oscar, it's your mother. I borrowed your father's phone. Please call me. Cody needs help. He could go to prison. You're his only family with the resources to hire a good lawyer. I'm begging you." I showed Scott the text. He asked what I was going to do. I deleted it and blocked the number. Nothing. He made his choices. 3 weeks later, Nicole's civil suit was settled. Cody had no money, but my parents did. They paid $40,000 to keep it from going to trial, probably hoping it would make the federal charges look better for sentencing. It didn't help. Nicole sent me a message saying she got the money and was paying off the cards. She mentioned Cody had tried to blame everything on me during depositions, said I'd set him up out of jealousy. Nobody believed him because I had evidence for everything. Meanwhile, my startup hit a major milestone. We closed a deal with a Fortune 500 company, which meant my equity was now worth serious money, like retire at 40 money. Scott and I celebrated by upgrading our office space and hiring 3 more developers. My life was objectively better without my family in it. 6 months passed. I built a life most people only dream about. The startup was thriving. My apartment remained mine. I'd started dating someone, Olivia, a product manager at Amazon, who came from a healthy family and couldn't comprehend the dynamics I'd grown up with. She fit into my life easily, naturally, like relationships are supposed to work. Cody's trial date was set for November. The FTC had him dead to rights, wire fraud, deceptive business practices, identity theft. His bus bench lawyer was trying to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecutor wasn't interested. They wanted to make an example. I'd kept minimal tabs on my former family through Uncle Henry. Cody was living with my parents in their house, which they'd had to remortgage to pay for his legal fees and Nicole's settlement. Dad's business had taken a hit. Mom had to sell 2 of her rental properties. I felt nothing about their situation. They'd made their choices. Then came the email Wednesday afternoon between code reviews. Subject line, "We need to talk." No sender name, but I knew who it was. I opened it anyway. "Oscar, it's your father. I'm using a work email because you blocked our numbers. I know you don't want to hear from us, but I need you to understand what you've done to this family. Cody is facing prison time, 3 to 5 years. His lawyer says the only way to avoid it is to pay restitution to everyone he scammed, which comes to nearly $200,000. We don't have that kind of money anymore. We've had to mortgage our house, sell properties, drain our retirement. Your mother's health is suffering. People in our community won't talk to us anymore. Do you know how it feels to be treated like criminals because of your own son? I raised you better than this, Oscar. I taught you about standing by your family no matter what. Where did that kid go? Your brother made mistakes. Yes, but he's paid for them 100 times over. He's trying to turn his life around, trying to get legitimate work, but nobody will hire him with pending federal charges. He's alone, struggling, and all he gets is judgment. Your uncle says I should accept that you're lost to us, that you've changed, but I can't believe, blah blah blah, because come on, I'm not reading the whole newspaper he sent. Anyway, he ended with, "Please call me. Let's fix this before it's too late." I read it twice, and easily recognized the manipulation patterns. The old Oscar, the one who'd spent years trying to earn scraps of approval, would have felt crushing guilt. The current Oscar recognized it for exactly what it was. I forwarded it to Uncle Henry with one line, "They're still at it." He responded within minutes, "Don't engage. They're desperate. Your brother's probably going to prison and they're looking for someone to blame." I didn't respond to my father's email. Responding would only confirm this method worked. The second email came a week later, this time from Cody directly. "Oscar, I know Dad wrote to you. I know you ignored him. Not surprised. Ignoring people who need you is kind of your specialty, right? You sit in your fancy apartment pretending you're better than everyone. Meanwhile, your family is falling apart. Do you know what my life is like now? I can't get a job. I can't leave the state. I'm stuck living with Mom and Dad like I'm 16 again. Everyone in the town knows my business because of you. Nicole got her money back. The FTC is happy. Everyone got what they wanted except me. And you have everything. Money, success, freedom, a girlfriend who probably doesn't know what kind of person you really are. You took the life I could have had. You sabotaged my business. You turned everyone against me. You cost me my relationship. And for what? Because you were jealous that Mom and Dad loved me more. I know you think you're so dang smart. Well, congratulations, brother, you won. But here's the thing. One day, you're going to be in that apartment you guard like it's Fort Knox, and you're going to realize that all your success means nothing without family. You chose revenge over loyalty. You chose money over blood. I hope it was worth it. And by the way, I know your routines. I know everything about your perfect little life. Don't think you're untouchable just because you have money and cameras. Karma's a bitch, big brother. I read the last paragraph twice. That was new. That was a threat. I forwarded both emails to the lawyer for review. He called me within the hour. The threat in the second email gives us what we need. Combined with their documented trespassing 6 months ago and this escalating pattern, we can file for a restraining order, but document everything going forward. Courts like patterns. How fast can we move? I'll file tomorrow. With the explicit threat and your documentation, we should get a temporary order within 72 hours. Full hearing in 2 weeks. I started keeping a detailed log of everything. Every email, every blocked call, every social media interaction, building an airtight case. The temporary restraining order came through 3 days later. Cody was ordered to stay at least 500 feet from my residence and workplace, cease all contact, direct or indirect. The full hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out, but the temporary order was enforceable immediately. Violation meant arrest and criminal contempt charges. My mom tried one last email through her work account, claiming I was tearing the family apart over nothing. Henry's lawyer sent a response, making it clear any further contact would result in harassment charges and evidence presented at the restraining order hearing. The full restraining order hearing came 2 weeks later. Cody didn't show, probably on advice of his federal defense attorney. The judge made the order permanent based on the documented threats, the trespassing attempt, and the pattern of harassment. 500 feet. No contact, no exceptions. Violation meant immediate arrest. I updated building security with a court order in Cody's photo. Andrew, the head of security, flagged it in their system with instructions to call police immediately if he showed up. 3 weeks passed quietly after that. My mom sent one final email, this time through her work account. "Oscar, you're making a terrible mistake. Getting a restraining order against your own brother over what?" An email. "You're tearing this family apart for no reason. We've lost everything. Your father might have to declare bankruptcy and you're worried about an email. Cody is suffering enough. You've already ruined his life. Isn't that enough? I'm your mother. I gave birth to you. I raised you. Doesn't that mean anything?" Uncle Henry's lawyer sent a response that made it clear any further contact would result in harassment charges. We never heard from them again through official channels. But my brother wasn't done. 3 weeks after the restraining order became permanent, I was working late at the office when Scott called me. "Dude, you need to get home, like right now." "What's wrong?" "Cody's at your building. Security called me when they couldn't reach you. He's in the lobby demanding to see you. I'm on my way." I made it to my building in 15 minutes, speeding the whole way. When I pulled into the garage, I called building security. Mr. Kowalski, he's still here, said Andrew, the night security guard. He showed up about 40 minutes ago claiming there's a family emergency. We told him you're not here and he's not on the approved list, but he won't leave. Says he'll wait all night if he has to. Call the police. He's not supposed to be within 500 feet of this building. Already done. They're on their way. I just wanted you to know before you came up. I'm in the garage. I'll wait here until he's gone. Through the phone, I could hear Cody's voice in the background. Come on, man. I just need 5 minutes with my brother. There's been an accident. This is an emergency. Andrew responded calm and professional. Sir, I've confirmed with Mr. Kowalski directly. There's no emergency. You're violating a restraining order by being here. The police are on their way. He's my brother. He can't just cut me off like this. Sir, you need to leave the premises immediately or you'll be arrested. Let him arrest me then. At least I'll get to see his face when they drag me out. He thinks he's so dang untouchable up there in his tower. I stayed in my car listening. Part of me wanted to go up there, wanted to confront him, but I knew that's exactly what he wanted, a scene. The police arrived 8 minutes later. Through the phone I heard them try to reason with him and heard him shift tactics from aggression to playing the victim. He fed them a story about trying to fix his family, about me turning everyone against him, about just wanting to talk. The officers weren't buying it. They told him he was trespassing, that I'd confirm no emergency, that he needed to leave or face arrest. His voice shifted again. Pure venom. Fine, tell Oscar his little tech bro life isn't going to last forever. Tell him people who burn bridges usually end up alone. Tell him I'm not done. Footsteps. Voices. Then Andrew came back on the line saying he was gone. Officers had escorted him to his car and watched him leave. They were filing an incident report. Andrew suggested I consider additional security measures. The guy seemed unstable. He was right. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes. Then I went upstairs, locked my door, and stood in my living room feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Fear. Not of Cody specifically, but of what he might do. He was desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. Olivia came over an hour later. I'd texted her what happened, and she drove straight from her place. You okay? She asked, wrapping her arms around me. Yeah, just ticked off. That's allowed. She pulled back to look at me. What are you going to do? Lawyers filing a violation report. Cody might go to jail just for showing up here. Then he can't show up again. Exactly. She stayed over that night. We didn't talk much about it, but having someone there, someone who chose to be there without obligation or manipulation, reminded me why cutting off my family was the right choice. The violation report was filed the next morning. Cody's bail was revoked. He was taken into custody pending his fraud trial. Uncle Henry called me that afternoon with an update. My mom had called him crying, asking if he could talk to me about helping with Cody's legal situation now that he was in custody. He'd told her Cody violated a court order, that he'd been warned repeatedly. She hadn't taken it well. He also mentioned Cody's defense attorney was scrambling for a plea deal. The restraining order violation on top of the federal charges killed any sympathy angle they might have had. Cody's federal case moved fast after that. His attorney negotiated a plea, guilty to wire fraud and mail fraud, in exchange for 18 months federal prison and 5 years supervised release with full restitution to victims. The prosecutor accepted. My parents would spend years paying off his debts while he did his time, and I would spend that time living my life completely free of them. 15 months later, Cody got out. Federal inmates typically serve about 85% of their sentence with good behavior. So, the timeline tracked. Uncle Henry gave me the heads up a week before his release date. He's been asking about you. Apparently went to some kind of rehabilitation program in prison. Says he wants to make amends. Amends? I laughed. That's rich. I'm just telling you what I heard. Do with it what you want. I did nothing with it. Ignored it completely. My life had become exactly what I wanted. The startup was profitable. Olivia and I had moved in together, and I'd completely rebuilt my social circle with the right people. Then Cody showed up at my office. Scott came into my workspace looking uncomfortable. Your brother's in the lobby. Security stopped him, but he's asking to talk to you. I looked at the clock. 2:40 p.m. Tell security I'll come down, but I'm not letting him up here. Let's get this over with. I took the elevator down to the lobby. He was standing by the windows, looking like prison had hollowed him out. Oscar, he said when he saw me, thanks for coming down. You've got 5 minutes. He looked around the lobby. Nice place. Scott said you guys are doing well. 4 minutes. He took a breath and launched into his apology. Said he knew he'd messed up everything. Wanted to say he was sorry. It lasted maybe 90 seconds before I cut him off. Nah, I said. You're sorry you got caught, not for what you did. His face tightened, but prison had changed me. I'd learned and grown. I told him prison didn't change him. It just removed his access to victims. He pushed back. You're being unfair. I'm trying to make amends here. Don't, I said, stepping closer. You're trying to use me again. I can't be fooled anymore, brother. His mask almost slipped just for a second. That familiar anger flashed across his face before he caught himself. I should have known you'd be like this, he said. Henry warned me. Said you'd never forgive me. He's a smart man, I said. That's when the real Cody came out. The same rant started, how I thought I was better than everyone, how mom and dad were broke, how he couldn't get a job, how Nicole took everything, and how I was looking down on all of them like trash. You know the difference between me and you, brother? I said when he finally ran out of steam. When I failed, I learned. When you fail, you blame everyone else. He tried the family obligation angle, asked if I was going to hate him forever, never give him another chance. I'm not going to think about you at all, I said. That's the point you keep missing. You're just some guy I used to know who kept making terrible choices. You can't say that. I'm your brother. No, you're someone who shares my DNA. And here's what's going to happen now. You're going to leave, never contact me again, never show up at my office or apartment, and never reach out through anyone else. You got out of prison. Good for you. Now go rebuild your life somewhere far away from mine. I mean, if I don't, then you keep making the same mistakes. But you stay away from me while you do it because I'll make sure you'll always face consequences. He tried to call my bluff. I mentioned his probation officer might be very interested in hearing about him harassing the brother he was ordered to stay away from. That changed his face real quick. He grabbed his jacket, his face twisted with rage. You're a cold jerk, you know that? Yes, I know that. We're not done, Oscar. One day you're going to need us, and we won't be there. Promise? He stared at me for a long moment. Screw you. Right back at you, little brother. He turned and walked out. I watched him cross the street, get into a beat-up car, and drive away. I went back upstairs. Scott was waiting at my desk. Think he'll try again? Nope. He knows I'll have him arrested. He's not stupid enough to go back to prison. Scott nodded. Good, because we have that investor meeting in an hour, and I need you focused. I will be. I hung up and looked around. This was my life now, built from scratch, earned through years of work, protected by boundaries I'd learned to enforce. My brother would probably try again eventually, maybe through my parents, maybe through some mutual acquaintance, maybe through a desperate email or phone call years from now when he hit rock bottom again. And I'd ignore it, block it, delete it, because I'd learned the most important lesson. Some people will take everything you have and still believe they deserve more. The only way to protect yourself is to cut them off completely, build a life they can't access, and thrive in spaces they can't invade. That was the only revenge that mattered. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.